Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 36 of the Paws Up podcast. It's great to be back with you all. I'm Jake Gibson, along with my friends and co-hosts Kevin Barral and Jonathan Mayer. Gentlemen, it's been a while since our last episode of the podcast. I believe maybe 2.5 weeks, man. It's been a hot minute. How are y'all?
A long bye
what
week.
have y'all done since that span?
Yeah.
Who was the last guest? What was the last episode? We had a guest?
Yeah, it was Bernardo dos Santos Monteiro. That was a long time ago, dog.
It's been more than 2 weeks then.
Yeah, it's felt like the bye week was crazy because of the midweek. So
now, granted, we've still been hard at work, right? We've been pumping out these previews, halftime reports, post games, along with coverage for soccer and
Pause up page.
Yeah, pause that page. Not to mention the live tweeting for soccer, as well as, of course, basketball, which began yesterday. So let's get right into it. Of course, we got to start off with a very simple question: how was everybody's Halloween?
Home, bro.
Great, chill. What? It was chill.
It was chill, man. Y'all didn't do anything like any crazy parties, no special events.
What did you do, Jake? I want to know. What did you do?
I gave out candy to trick
exactly.
What kind of candy did you give out, though? That's the important question.
We got a very nice bag of candy. It had Hershey's, Kit Kat, Reese's, like all the good stuff. All the good stuff.
It's not very good.
Why are you shaking your head, Kevin?
Because he's more of a candy guy. I like chocolate candy.
You see, that's the thing. I'm not a big chocolate candy guy.
That's
so you prefer like Skittles and stuff?
I'm like a Skittles. Like Dots are very underrated.
Dots, ew.
Dots are awesome, bro. Gummies are good. But anyways, we're in November. We're in
November. Yeah. Turkey season's coming up soon.
Next 2 months are absolutely amazing, except for Johnny. We have Thanksgiving and Christmas. Come on, bro.
Hanukkah.
And then Hanukkah.
Yeah, you got to leave it out.
Well, Kevin, I got to ask you for Thanksgiving. Are you a turkey guy or a ham guy?
I am a sides guy.
A what? Oh, you go for the
cheese. We go with the mac and cheese, the stuffing. I'll eat the turkey, but we'll talk about
it. Too dry. The turkey's too dry. You got
I agree. All right, let's do it.
All right, let's get into some FIU athletics. Why not? 3 minutes in. Let's talk a bit about some FIU athletics. Let's quickly talk about football. We're gonna save all the real football talk for the Paws Up preview day of on Saturday as FIU football takes on Middle Tennessee. They of course had the week off following their loss at home to Jacksonville State by a score of 41-16. Fellas, we were all at that game. Just as the game progressed, how are we all feeling, man? I felt like there was a slight chance that FIU could make it back into that game. And, of course, that dreaded fair catch interference penalty just kind of killed everything.
I think you said it right. That literally killed everything. They had the momentum on their side.
Yeah.
I would tell you this. If they would have scored on that drive, they really would have had a chance. Grayson looked great. Threw for exactly 200 yards, I believe, a touchdown. That the one-handed snag catch of the year for Chris Mitchell. He played great. There's no other way to say it. He played great, and FIU really just after that just was not able to capitalize off of, I believe, some really good stops from the defense. It's a really good Jack State team. They kept it close with the Gamecocks this past week, North Carolina, and just weren't able to get that one there. But FIU now comes into a very crucial stretch, which includes SEC team Arkansas, which, despite the record, they beat UF, which was wild. And
it was a crazy game.
They beat UF, and it's an SEC team, Power 5 school. So you can't take them, lightly. And then you have Western, which, the time will come when we talk about them, but they look a lot more beatable than since the season began. They're I think 4-4. They've struggled. They've played some very close games. They've gotten pretty lucky, so I think that's the best way to put it. So if FIU beats Middle Tennessee, we may be heading to a bowl game. I'll just keep it at that.
What kind of bowl game are we going to, Kevin? What's the ideal bowl game?
I would say just be grateful for a bowl game. Just be grateful we're in a bowl game. That's kind of my
just grateful you get 5 wins, Johnny. This team is coming off a 4-8 season. The last 2 years, you look back, they only had a combined one single win. You need to see improvement somewhere, and obviously, you're going to see it with Kiwan eventually. He played some really nice games for FIU. This defense looks a lot better than it did a year ago, despite the stats. I guess, obviously, we're there a lot more. This is another season of growth for this FIU team that hopefully we'll see how many guys do enter the transfer portal, because at the end of the day, that is a part of college football, the transfer portal. And if you like it or not, guys are going to leave. There are a lot of really good players on this FIU team that easily could transfer. Chris Mitchell has another year of eligibility. He's having a phenomenal season. You never know. Donovan Manuel, this is his last season. Reggie Peterson's having a great season. I don't see him leaving anytime soon, but those are names you really need to mention. Possibly heading out. Hezekiah Massis, he's had a pretty good year as well. So just guys you got to mention there. But again, we're talking about the positives here, and definitely been, I would say, it's been a fairly good season, because obviously we don't talk about this on the preview. We need to really dig deep into just, and I asked Coach McIntyre today about just like, now that you had this bye week, you kind of look back, just like what were your thoughts? And I think that's what we should be doing here. Just what have been our thoughts? Obviously, they get off to that great start and just lose a lot of close games. And we'll go back and we'll look at this season if they don't end up making a bowl game, or even if they do. And we'll be telling ourselves, this feels like a what if type of season. What if they would have beat La Tech? What if they handed that game to La Tech? What if they would have kind of stayed close with New Mexico and they would have beat them in that game? You kind of start asking yourself these type of what if type of questions. And they had games where they should have won. They should have beat UTEP. I mean, this team likely could have 6 or 7 wins right now had things gone their way. And especially you look back at that Jack State game, they got screwed over. There's no other way to put it.
they got screwed over, but that's at the same time, we can't gloss over the fact that they gave up 21. They gave up 21 points in the first quarter, and just like against UTEP.
And on top of that, Jake, they gave up 4 sacks. I think 5 sacks.
Yes, 4 sacks. And again, I think the offensive play calling has been a very serious concern this entire season. I think it really boiled over, ironically, in that Sam Houston State game that they actually ended up winning. Go figure. But a big thing that happened in that Jacksonville State game, of course, was swapping out Kiwan Jenkins, who I think overall this season has looked very solid, considering he's been a true freshman. He's had an offensive scheme that sometimes I really question. But they swapped him out for Grayson James, who hadn't played in a game since that Louisiana Tech game where he had, I want to say, 5 passing yards total. And they went to Jenkins, and the rest was history until they swapped him in, and all of a sudden the FIU offense got into some rhythm, and they scored some points. So, Johnny, I'd like to ask you this: just when they added James back into the lineup for FIU football against Jacksonville State, what changed for the offense? Why did they sustain so much success in the second half?
I think it was a little bit of a spark. You kind of felt with the true freshman, maybe, the little situation where he had a little bit of some struggles, but I think with FIU, they knew that they had to come back, they had to find a way, and maybe what things weren't really working in their direction that they felt. And Grayson came in there, he had a spark. I mean, I think he had 2 solid drives. They were able to move ball down the field, had a big 60-yard pass that was able to get a touchdown. And obviously we know what happened on that play that kind of I guess zipped all the momentum out to, unfortunately. The play. But besides that, I think Grayson was able to come in there and make some plays that really FIU needed. Obviously, that the whole special teams thing was another situation, but I think Grayson was able to kind of get something momentum going that FIU was able to kind of put themselves back in.
I think you also have to keep in mind that Grayson was the starter all of last season, essentially. I believe it was the last game he didn't start. That's it, really. And he didn't start the Bryant game. But you look back, he knows the offense well. And it does feel like the play calling kind of changed by when he entered the game. I don't know why, but it kind of feels like they're trying to get Kiwan to be more of a dual threat type of quarterback. And honestly, if it works, it works. But it definitely hasn't worked these last 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, you look at that losing streak. Didn't work. Grayson immediately entered the game, and he just started slinging it, and it worked. Obviously, you had the 60-yard throw, as Jonny mentioned, and then you had that one-handed grab, which by far the best grab of the season, maybe in Conference USA. That
was beautiful. It should have been Sports Center top 10.
It didn't make it.
No, man.
Oh wait, no, so hold on. It made top 5. He was number 5, Chris Mitchell.
What? I haven't seen Can you send it to me when you get the
Dude,
it was number 5.
FIU Football never even talked about that.
Well, the thing about it is, it's on cable television. So I did the favor of getting up early in the morning to record ESPN Sports Center. I saw it. I wasn't able to.
They're on the ESPN app.
But you can't screen record. And I
want
to
talk about what else FIU ended up for ESPN Sports Center top 10 very soon.
That's not time now.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but besides that's another story. But Chris Mitchell, a big play for him, and congrats to him. He really stood out. He had a great night as well. People, I mean, I think it was over 100 yards for Chris Mitchell again, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he's still balling out, and really good to see from Creasy.
And it's funny because almost all of Conference USA utilizes that dual threat quarterback system. Of course, Liberty with Caden Salter probably being the best example of this. And Jenkins has tried to be that dual threat quarterback, passer and runner. And against North Texas and UConn, for example, he succeeded in that. And the offense just looked great overall. But then you play Liberty, and then, of course, New Mexico State, UTEP, and even Sam Houston State, as I mentioned, they won that game, but the offense did not do them much favors for the majority of that game. Still get nightmares about those screen passes in the first half, and how they just did not work against the Bearcats. So
yeah, we'll see. Middle Tennessee, and we're not going to talk too much about it, but
right.
This is, if you thought FIU's offense struggles, their offense may be just as bad or maybe even worse.
If not worse, yeah.
I covered that game against New Mexico, and Jesus Christ, that was really bad.
It was rough. It was rough to watch, and
not even the middle offense. I mean, New Mexico struggled as well. Quarterback Nick Vatiano, I believe is how you say it.
Nick Vatiano,
yeah.
Fun fact,
he was a product.
Yeah, actually, I didn't go to school with him, but no, NSU. I went to that school in elementary, but he was in the grade below me. But I don't think he was there. That's a whole other story.
He's a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah, from NSU. Yep,
NSU. Yeah. So he struggled in the first half. South Florida guy, and we'll see. But their defense, you got to give them a lot of credit. They played a really nice game for the most part, just allowing one touchdown to New Mexico despite the loss. The other two, 13 points because of field goals at the end of the day. But should be a good game. I think it's worth mentioning that only one time in program history FIU has ever won at Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So we'll see what happens here. Hopefully, I asked Coach McIntyre and immediately said, I've never taken this team there. So hopefully that's different. I believe, John, if you want to check back, I believe it was 2011 the last time FIU won at Murfreesboro.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Over a decade.
Over a decade, yeah. And I think the last time was 2 years ago, 2021, around this same time as well.
We're talking soccer, or let's do it.
We're talking football. FIU went to Murfreesboro.
We should talk soccer now, though.
Well, we are going to get to that, Kevin, because it's not going to be pretty talking about soccer, but we're going to bear through it because we want to get you all informed on what the hell happened for both women's and men's. But something I did want to recollect about the football team is you had mentioned this a few games ago, Kevin, that at I believe it was for the Sam Houston State game at this point in the season last year they had 4 wins and had 4 wins to go, looking to get into bowl eligibility, and they flopped, right? They lost their last 4 games last year. And now they're in a similar situation this year. And I got to say, it's not looking good considering what happened with that Jacksonville State game. So let me ask you this. You had talked about winning 5 games. If FIU does win 5 games, is this season going to be considered a success for McIntyre? Would you?
Yes and no. Obviously, on paper, it looks better. You have 5 wins, but you look deeper into it, Jake. You have to tell yourself, all 5 of your losses thus far have been against a conference opponent.
Yeah.
Your only win has come in double overtime against the worst team in the conference. That was an FCS team last season. Yeah. And aside from that, your other wins come against a North Texas team, which has disappointed.
Yeah.
A FCS Maine team, which actually is pretty good, but should have been that close.
And then UConn, who is a basketball school.
UConn, which isn't very good. So you tell yourself, yes, on paper it looks good. Obviously, you kind of found your guy in Keywan Jenkins. Obviously, he's proven that he could take this team to the next level when he's going at it. But and this defense is pretty damn good when they're fully healthy. But you got to ask yourself now, and obviously we're not going to look at next season, but Donovan Manuel's last year with FIU, that's going to be a big piece they're losing, and a lot of guys are leaving this team, and who knows what the transfer portal looks like for the Panthers. Obviously, they lost Tyrese Chambers, who's no longer with Maryland. He's done playing football. Demetrius Hill, Rivaldo Fairweather, Gathan Bernadette. They lost a lot of guys in the portal. Will it be just like that, or will most of this core stay together and come back next season? Obviously, worth noting that you're getting Flex back next season, and
I was going to mention that. A big
well,
what
we
if.
have to see what happens there too. That's the one thing I do have to mention. That running back room with him back, you have him, Keyshawn Owens, who's been a pleasant surprise. You have Antonio Patterson, and you have Shamari Lawrence. You have 4 guys in that room plus whatever you have of red shirts and scout teams. So you got to tell yourself which guys from that room will leave. But I mean, going back to your original question, because I think we got a little off track there. Yeah, for the most part, it's pretty successful. Just really bad luck when all your losses are within your conference. That's the one thing FIU needs to really improve. Liberty isn't going away anytime soon, and Middle Tennessee, they're going to be, I believe that they'll be pretty good next season. I think this is a big down year for them. Louisiana Tech, and we'll talk about this when the season ends. They've been extremely disappointing this season. I mean, I know that kind of the record right now speaks for what the preseason rankings had him at. But you would think with a good quarterback like Hank Bachmeier, and I know he went down, but Jack Turner played pretty well. You should have won a couple games. And once again, I think it'll go back to what I said originally. This feels like a what if type of season. What if this would have happened?
It really is. And every college team has what ifs, both good or bad. But man, there's a lot of what ifs for this FIU squad. You hit the nail on the head. By the way, we should announce that I believe it was earlier today. They announced that the game against Arkansas would be played at 7:30 on ESPNU. So another
yesterday, man, but it's fine.
Another nationally televised football game for FIU.
That's weird.
Number 7.
I am surprised, and I was talking to someone about it today. I'm like, man, it's weird. It's surprising that FIU gets the ESPNU primetime game over other teams because originally I was telling myself 12 p.m. SEC network team game, which technically still prime time because you're on an ESPN platform.
You are.
I mean, FIU gets the chance to once again hopefully prove themselves. The last time they were on there was in 2020, coincidentally against Middle Tennessee on ESPN News. So it should be fun.
I'm going to assume ESPN's reasoning was that here's a team in FIU that is searching for a bowl game appearance. And here's an SEC school in Arkansas that's been struggling. Their offensive coordinator just fired. This seems like the perfect formula for a potential upset. So that's why they want to broadcast this game nationally, because they think it could. They think that they have something cooking here with this game.
And it is worth noting that if FIU does lose against Middle, which we'll share predictions, that day, but they still have a chance.
They'll have a chance.
The backs will be against the wall. You'll have to face the SEC team and arguably one of the better teams in CUSA. So yeah.
Last question for football, because we never actually did a middle of the season sort of recap.
We need this. We needed this type of podcast today.
We needed this. We did. It's been a while, but who would you say has been the MVP on both offense and defense for this FIU squad? Start off with you, Kevin.
Defense, you have to go with Donovan Manuel. I really do hope he gets that Final Force fumble so he can cement himself in the record books for a very, very long time.
We've been waiting for it for so long.
I thought he was going to get it last game. We'll see if he gets it against Middle. But it felt like he just had a streak going, man. He had one like every game, and I guess, things happen. But, yeah, Donovan Manuel's had a great season. He'll surpass 100 total tackles. I know Jonny likes to talk of positivity here, so we're going to do it. And offensively, I guess you got to go Chris Mitchell. It's really hard not to choose anyone else. That guy, Blinkhoff Award. Blinkhoff, that's how you say it? Correct me? Yeah?
Jonny, you're the expert on this. How do you pronounce it?
You predicted this.
Blinkhoff
Award.
There you go.
Added there. He's having his best season as a college pro, so nice to see him out there, and nice to see him healthy. I believe he dealt with concussions last year. So, yeah good stuff all around, and hopefully next season we're calling Kiwan the MVP. Maybe you never know. Maybe all of a sudden,
You never know. You never
these
know.
next 3 games he dominates. But right now, at 9 games into the season, it's Chris and Donovan.
Jonny, is it a clean sweep? Is it a clean sweep for you as well? Donovan Manuel on defense and Chris Mitchell on offense?
I'll go a little different. I'll go the counterpart of Donovan Manuel. That's Reggie Peterson. Sorry, you Kevin. Every time you do it, it gets me confused. So
I've
Reggie
been in
Peterson.
a while, so that's on you.
Okay. Reggie Peterson. I mean, think about him. Like how his career has gone as like a walk on. Then he gets the scholarship, and I mean, he's second in the team right now in tackles with 66. He had the interception a couple weeks ago against Sam Houston, a couple of sacks. He's been really, really fun to watch. An awesome story. I like seeing his rise, and he's a leader. And when you think of Donovan, you think of Reggie. Those are the 2 big linebackers, and I've enjoyed watching him play. And then offensively, Shamari Lawrence. I mean, you talked about. I'll go running back, but like Shamari Lawrence. I mean, 520 rushing yards or 400, a little under 100, little under 500, but like 4 touchdowns, and him and Keyshawn have kind of been that back and forth affair. But I think Shamari has been as expected, and maybe a little bit better. I think we knew he would be a big back, and obviously it sucks that we lost Flex, but Shamari came in and he's been a really, really solid back to watch, and I've enjoyed seeing his growth, and we'll see how he does next year. But so far, he's had a great season in his first year with FIU.
Reminds me a little bit of Flex, the way he kind of runs, really just a big back going right through the middle, and he's done it. Since that first run against Louisiana Tech, he's been pretty good. Obviously not playing as much. Obviously, kind of splitting that backfield with Keyshawn, who, if we're doing pleasant surprises, it's definitely been him. But yeah, it's been fun.
Unfortunately, I have to take the boring pick and agree with Kevin for the MVPs for both offense and defense. I got to go Chris Mitchell, who has solidified himself as a wide receiver one kind of player that we all thought who was going to take that spot away from Chambers, who was going to become that guy, and it did not take long for us to figure out that it was going to be Mitchell. As soon as he stepped on the field in that Louisiana Tech game, or not even the Louisiana Tech, I look more to Maine. When he caught those bombs, and especially North Texas when he and Jenkins looked to be like in perfect unison. I joke about it, the Tua to Tyree connection that we saw in that game from Jenkins and Chris.
Didn't work in Germany.
They got the same numbers. Yeah, they got the same jersey numbers too.
Didn't work in Germany.
So it didn't work in. Shut up, Kevin. But yeah, I think Chris Mitchell. Regardless of whether the offense looks good or not, he's still going to get his numbers. The defense can only contain him for so long, man, until he gets that big time play at least once a game. And again, Donovan Manuel, he has a chance to make FIU history that we're all waiting to see happen.
Waiting for a while.
We've been waiting for a while, but I do feel confident that it's going to happen again. Donovan Manuel, I believe he was at one point in week 0, he had the most tackles in all of FBS, and he was in the top 5 conversation for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. Man, he's just an unstoppable force. He's great against the run. He sometimes stops the pass, man. He's a threat. And if this is his last season, man, I hope he goes pro in one way or the other.
It is his last season.
Whether it is the NFL or even the XFL or USFL merger that's happening, I hope he gets invited to that, man. I want to see Donovan Manuel for years to come in the big leagues, because I think he deserves it, man. He is a hell of a player.
Yep.
And as always, shout out to our boy Chase Gabriel.
Hey, I saw him. He was at the. Well, we'll talk about it later. He was at the soccer game.
Don't really have any context. Just Chase Gabriel's a dog, bro. That's it.
He's cool. He's a cool guy.
Alrighty then, let's move on to soccer. Oh well, I should mention again. FIU is playing this Saturday, November 11th, against the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. That is at 3:30 p.m. in Murfreesboro.
Eastern
the game
time.
can be seen on ESPN Plus. Our preview will drop at 2 p.m. That day. So, all right, gentlemen, let's talk a bit about soccer. And I hate to spoil the mood, but there's not going to be a whole lot of positives we can discuss, man.
No, there is. And I think the biggest positive, funnily enough, it might be regarding women's soccer, who had, again, one of the best seasons in the program's history. Again, Jonny, you've been there since the beginning, seeing how that team progressed. So I want to ask you, man, just again, they lost to Sam Houston by a score 3-2. It was still an exciting game. We got to give them credit there, man. That was an exciting match.
They end the season 8-6-4. I don't believe an NCAA tournament appearance, but just Jonny, man, what did you see from this team all year? What made them so good, especially in that stretch in the beginning of the year where they just looked unstoppable?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a combination of they had elite goal scorers, Nicole Solis, who she notched her 10th goal in that game against Sam Houston, and she's the first Panther in over a decade to have 10 goals in a season. So I think the offense was flowing. Obviously, you had a veteran goalkeeper, Itai Sivanoli, who was good. The back line, Anna Rocket, shout out to her, Reagan Bridges, they were phenomenal. And, they were able to set a mark for the least amount of goals given up in a single season. In over a decade. So the defense was really good. Obviously, I think, some injuries piled up a little bit there down the stretch. They played really good. I mean, obviously, if you look at it, Liberty won the conference tournament. They played New Mexico State. Those are the top two teams, and FIU drew against those two teams. So you kind of felt that FIU played good soccer. I think just down the stretch, postseason time, injuries, our starting goalkeeper was out, and then, you're down 3-0, but FIU scored 2 goals right at the half to make it, a 1-goal game, and just fell short in the end. But besides that, you had 8 wins. Last year you had 3, so that's 5 more wins. Coach Garber and his staff did a great job. They have a good core. A tough loss, but I think it's sign of things to come for this team. I'm excited. It was tough to see them lose, but I was, overall just great to see how they played this year, and a lot of cool moments. I think I always remember right now is the win. Nicole Solis had the penalty kick in the 87th minute. There you go, Kevin. She put the U down, which went viral on Instagram.
Hopefully done on Monday.
Yeah, and we scored 13 goals in our first 2 games. That was a cool thing. So yeah, we played great soccer early, but kudos to the women's team and how they had the great season overall.
And it was bound to come. And just before I go into the negatives here, because you know me,
classic Kevin,
right? They had a lot of success in the conference, within the Conference USA. Very good teams there. I believe they just lost 1 conference game this whole season. They were unbeaten right up until the very end, which they lost to Middle Tennessee. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jonny.
Yeah, they lost a lot.
They tied against Jack State and Liberty, and they lost to Middle. So very successful conference record, which was a big reason why they finished where they did. And at the end of the day, I obviously no one knows what happens internally, but you need to keep in mind that Solis, as Jonny was mentioning, one of the bright spots of this team, really, I wouldn't say struggled, but played a lot less. She wasn't starting in games, and obviously it's different in collegiate soccer than, MLS, all those other leagues where once you're out of the game or out, you could come back in. But it was weird not seeing her start games, and they were going with different players, which is fine. If that's what's working for you, that's what's working. But, it was a little weird. And aside from that, just obviously Jonny mentioned it. We were there when Itai Savinoli suffered her injury, her or foot injury, and she was done for the year, and that was a huge loss. You had to rely on Gwen Jordan, a freshman, and tough season. But at the end of the day, it was very successful. You got to give them a lot of credit. I'm excited to see where this team goes from here. A lot of their players are coming back. I know Anna Rocket's done, unfortunately. She was our podcast guest. And we hope to have a lot of the girls on here soon on the podcast. They're a very group of girls, and it was a very fun season. Jonny and I were there for, I believe, almost every game, I want to say. Jonny obviously was there for each game, but, still fun, very good time. And got
that experience in, Jonny.
And we got to see history. This is a team that had a lot of history, and Jonny has all those nuggets for you right now.
Oh, you want the Nuggets already?
Yeah, bro. Come on.
Nuggets.
I already kind of gave some teaser. So
this is gonna be interesting. Hang on.
Most wins. I got the popcorn. Oh, you got the popcorn. Most wins since 2015. Most goals scored in a season as a Conference USA member with over 30. Least amount of goals given up since 2012. Nicole Solis, 10 goals, which is the most scored by Panther since 2012. We had 7
for a while too.
We had 7 all-conference selections, which is the most in program history. Noemi Paquin was the first since 2015 for all-conference. And then they
had a lot of second-team selections, and I think it was just 1 third team. So shout out to them. They were very good. There's just no other way to put it. I'm not gonna say they're I guess the spark ran out. I think that's the best way to put it to a certain degree. Obviously, they get upset by Sam Houston. They lose the middle, which they should have beat. But
Yeah.
I think the real conversation starts here when we talk about men's.
Mm-hmm. I did want to ask though.
Let me know when we were going to men's because I have the video.
Yes, sir. But Johnny, I think Johnny answered this question anyway. I was going to ask, what do you think was the best, the highest high for the women's team? Like, what game was the best game? And I think you answered already with that. So that's a bit on the nose, but you know what? I respect it. If you had to give a most valuable player award to the women's soccer team, who should it be?
Are we all doing this?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start off with Johnny. Johnny, who do you got?
You're muted.
You're muted, Holmes.
I think it's different. I think like Nicole Solis, she had a great season. I mean, she scored like 8 goals in the first, how many games, had 10 overall.
She was one of the best players in the conference.
One of the best players, the goal scorers. I think she had a little bit of a stretch in conference where, she didn't score, and you saw Noemi Paquin kind of pull it up. I don't want to give it MVP. I think I'll give co-MVPs. I think that I think Nicole and Noemi, I think they both had good styles of play in like different aspects. I think Noemi really stepped up big in conference, and Nicole was kind of did everything we wanted to see in non-con. So I'll give those two as co-MVPs, and I'll give honorable mentions. I mean, Reagan Bridges, Delinda Salen too. I mean, they kind of great tandem on the back line. Camille Sahiro, who didn't play last year. She got injured.
So she has an extra year, right?
I think she has an extra year. I'll see.
You need to check because she's a grad student.
Yeah, but also she has the extra year eligibility, so that plays a part in it. But
was she a part of senior day?
Huh?
Was she a part of senior day?
She was a part of it last year. So I don't know. I think
that'll be a great player to have back.
She really came and was a great veteran leader.
Lisa Vignoli, you got to give her credit, man. Mm-hmm. She least amount of goals allowed.
Exactly. And unfortunately, she got injured down the stretch, but when she was in net, she was, terrific for FIU. You said it, she was.
Well, now you're giving everyone the MVP. So
yeah, I mean, I'll go you up there, Johnny.
I Paquin, I think great. I think that she'll be my MVP. But as Johnny mentioned, and I'll mention another name, Anna Rocket was really good for this team.
Paws podcast legend.
Exactly, she comes from SEC at LSU, and it's a play style that fit her. She mentioned that on the podcast, and she was great. She was a great leader. She was huge. She made a lot of big plays, a lot of setups, and Johnny was there myself, and it was a good season for FIU women's soccer, and I'm excited to see what happens next year because Barbara Garcia, Johnny, that's her name.
Barbara Garcia. She was
really good towards the end of the year. She made some big plays. Remember the La Tech one where they were down and then they led again. So she was a huge part of that. She was a big part of the Sam Houston game, despite the loss. She scored that second goal. She's going to be a big piece for this team, and
and unfortunately, I have to pick one of Johnny's. I think eight selections for MVP. I wanted to branch out and be different, but I think I do got to go with Nicole. I believe she was a preseason, I think, all conference USA, and she absolutely balled out this year. But I do want to give a shout out again to Isa Vignoli. The games that she was in, man, she was dominant at the keeper position, and a great season for women's soccer. I think there's no doubt about that. And again, an 8-6-4 record. They were 3-2-3 in the conference. They had a very good 5-3-2 record at home and 2-2-2 away. That was pretty good as well. Not only being dominant at home, but taking care of business on the road as well. By the way, that I still think about that Jacksonville State game, how that game ended, just the sheer pandemonium and the fact that FIU still came out on top. That was a hell of a game.
That was wild.
So again, shout out to the women's soccer team. All right, Kevin, take it away for men's. What do you have to share for us?
Do you guys see it? Yeah.
Yes. Oh no,
dude. Johnny, come on, you gotta look, man.
Johnny,
I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking when I saw.
Look at this, dude. That's wild. Like just still looking at it now. Okay, yeah, I'm not looking at that part. Yeah, like just looking back, and obviously it sucks that this is the way it had to end, but it was a great game. And I was talking to another SID there, and um, Jonny was there, and then I was like, man, they're playing a really good game. Both teams very well. Just for more context, that was the AAC first round of the tournament. FIU, ranked, I believe, 23 at the time, faced FAU, who had not been ranked. They lost to FAU early in the year. Jonny and I were both there. They lost 2-1, tough loss, and they came into FIU and they did that.
Probably took care of business unbelievably. I had seen that prior to that win in Boca, I want to say like 2.5, maybe 3 weeks ago. But prior to that, FAU had not beaten FIU in men's soccer in 10 years.
Yeah,
and now they knocked them out of potentially their third straight conference title. Massive pain, and you know what?
Possibly knocking them out of the NCAA tournament.
I did look though today. FIU, I think we're 23. They're now around 30ish on the poll. So from what I see,
they're off the top 25.
Yeah, but I still think FIU. I still think FIU will have an NCAA game. I think it's going to be a bid. I don't know. It seems like it may be a road game. I don't want to confirm.
Monday.
But yeah, it's Monday at 1:00. Will be the selection show. But
Monday at 1:00. So we can only speculate until then. But if it was any other team in the conference, I would have been like, oh man, that sucks. It sucks when it's the fact that it was against.
Not really, man. I mean, you look back
from Boca Raton.
You look back and you're like, you look back and it's just like, there's no way that game ended like that. I saw it, and I told Jonny and I told Darren, I told everyone, I was like, man, like with those seconds left, I was telling myself, they're gonna score, aren't they?
Scott was there as well, right, Scott?
All of a sudden, I see the ball go across, and I'm like, there's no way. And then you just see me putting my hands on my head. Jonny, he's like, has no words to say what just happened, and I feel so bad for the players too on FIU, and those guys, we got to give them credit where credit's due. They played one hell of a season. I know it wasn't as strong as their season last year, where they obviously won the title in their first year in the AAC. They went to the NCAA. They went to the Sweet 16. I mean,
and then that shootout win against New Hampshire.
Shootout win. They
always live rent free in my head because of how crazy it was, man. But yeah, I agree. I gotta know though, because what was the crowd reaction at that moment,
dude? So throughout the whole game, obviously it's FAU. Obviously, it's the rivalry, and the fans are great. The fans, obviously,
it's a rivalry. But there weren't fisticuffs, were there?
The attendance was over 1,000. So there was a lot of standing room section there, and FAU, FAU, they know the rivalry, how it is, and they went up on the fans and they started, dancing, and yeah, I felt so bad for the players too, because just you look back and those guys were 11 seconds away from going into overtime, and it kind of feels like they just flipped the switch and they were like, all right, 11 seconds, you don't think anyone's going to do anything, and it ended up with what happened. FAU scores in wild fashion, which, geez, man, I did not see that coming.
Did not see that coming at all.
And, looking back at that game, and Jonny would agree, it was one hell of a game. It was a great game from start to finish. Both teams really put up very good numbers, and their goalkeeper, Jonny, you know his name because you've told me he's Jewish. What's his name?
Rotem Fadia.
Him? That guy's a stud. He had some huge saves. Throughout most of the night, FIU actually led in shots, and not shots on goal, but shots in general, putting up that ball, being aggressive, being the team that we know Kyle Russell likes to run. And we'll have him on the show soon, hopefully, after they win the NCAA tournament, if they make it.
Obviously.
Just tough season. Bernardo dos Santos, podcast legend. He had a great year. Boustre had a great season. Edgar Aguilar, Tyler Hogan, another nice year for him. Matthias Lebanot, our boy, we have to have him on soon. He loves what we do.
Man.
We got to get him on soon. He was great this season. Overall, a really good performance for FIU. Philip Hildebrand had a nice year. This is a team that I think just will get better and better and better. And when you look at FIU and you look at all the recruitment that they do as a whole, as an organization, at soccer may be the best where they recruit. That may be where they really hit the most. And Obviously, they're doing it with the international guys. Simon Afrifa, Jonny, you would agree. He wasn't, not that he wasn't an impact at the start of the year, but really since that game against Temple and moving forward, he was a huge piece for this FIU team. Really, really just getting there. And he started. He was starting. He's not something he was doing at the start of the season. He went from minimal playing time to really playing a lot more. And I don't know if you want to just add on some other guys, Jonny. I think I mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bernardo. We talked about Lalo, Eduardo Mustre, who 11 goals, 24 points. Joao Dominguez stepped up in his sophomore campaign. Owen Travis, he's a big one where he's at the back line, leads the team in minutes, over nearly 1,500 minutes for him. He's played
never subbed out. He was never subbed out.
Yeah, I mean, he's a force in the back line, and another good FIU defense that's held their opponents to under 19 goals, which is the least amount since 1991. There's another stat.
Damn, Johnny's just coming in with these stats, man. These out of the blue stats for both women's and soccer. Just the collection here, it is totally man.
Lights out! Lights out!
I got some women's basketball nuggets.
Football coach, right? It counts technically, right? Football.
We'll talk about basketball soon because that was wild what happened with women.
It's wild. Alrighty then. So yeah, again, I think it's a little too early to talk about MVPs and whatnot because hopefully there's still some soccer left to be played for this men's squad who I think overall deserve a spot, right? I think they deserve a spot.
You gotta hope. Their only issue was just losses against unranked opponents, and I think that's where it really hurt them at the end of the day. Obviously, the 2 losses to FAU, and just record-wise, FAU wasn't a very good team, especially within the conference. They weren't good. So, props to them. They get a huge conference win against FIU in season, and then you have obviously the AAC tournament. If they win it, they'll probably make the NCAAs. Jonny, unless you know where they stand right now in that poll, if they win the AAC tournament, they may be going to the NCAA tournament and maybe match up against FIU soon enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's up in the air. Like at this point, it's kind of just a waiting game and just watching how the results play out. So tomorrow we'll have the semis in the American, Charlotte and FAU, and then Memphis and SMU. So we'll see how that goes down. But
it's played at Charlotte, right?
Yeah, or it'll be at SMU in Dallas because they're the number 1 seed. But it's like a waiting game. Like honestly, no one knows FIU. They're just waiting till Monday afternoon to see where they'll be selected to. So it's kind of a game where we'll find out.
And you also have to think if they get selected, because you also have to look at the other teams and how those results play out. Because if you kind of see it, other games, you got to kind of say, was this caliber of a team kind of similar to who FIU lost to? You know what I mean? Like, because let's say everything goes as planned, everything goes as expected. Better say, FIU may not make it, and
why not?
And there's a good chance they don't. They're an unranked team right now. They're 33rd, as Jonny mentioned. I didn't expect them to fall off that hard. I expected them kind of to go to 25, but a loss is a loss, and as bad as that one was, you gotta, But yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully they make it. We'll get some FIU soccer hopefully back here in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see the boys back here. They, obviously Jonny's been providing great content for them this season, and we'll see what happens. But yeah.
So as it stands, they have a 9-4-4 record. They're 5-1-2 in the conference. They're 5-2-2 at home, 4-2-2 on the road. Again, so some dominant home and away records for this soccer club. Alrighty then. So let's take a quick break. Why don't we? This is the Paws Up Podcast News Break. Your look at all things FIU athletics and just FIU in general. So we have a few stories to get into. Let's start off with something general for FIU athletics. Earlier today, they actually announced a partnership with the Blueprint Collective for an NIL initiative, solidifying it as an official sponsor of FIU athletics designed to, quote, enrich, enhance, and empower the lives of FIU student athletes, end quote. Amidst the evolution of NIL landscape, the Blueprint Collective was designed earlier this year to provide financial guidance seminars, mentorship programs, and a commitment from every athlete to engage in community volunteer initiatives. So again, with the expanding world that is NIL and pretty much every major sport in NCAA, another partnership for FIU athletics is certainly something that I think we can all be happy with. So let's move on to the National Football League, where one of FIU's best had himself one of the best performances of his career. Of course, I'm talking about Jonny Smith, the tight end for the Atlanta Falcons, and of course FIU alum, went off against the Minnesota Vikings this past Sunday, going for 100 yards off of 5 receptions, including a 60-yard dash to the end zone for a Falcons touchdown. Despite the loss to Minnesota, Smith was still very impressive, and we, of course, wish him the best of luck as the season progresses. Now, here's something interesting that FIU students can take part in that's coming up. The Miami Book Fair is celebrating its 40th anniversary and will feature more than 100 authors to talk about their work at Miami-Dade College's downtown Wolfson campus. But this year, MDC is partnering with FIU and will be providing a complimentary ticket to the book fair from November 18th to the 19th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Students can register online at miamibookfair.com, and the first 1,000 FIU students that will do so will also get a couple of extra complimentary one-day tickets. So that was your look at Newsbreak. I know you guys remember going to the book fair back in elementary and middle school. It was lit, man. It was lit.
Those were the days, right?
Those were the days, right?
Did you have that, Jonny?
Have what?
The book fair?
Oh, book fair, the Scholastic book fair. I did in elementary.
Okay.
But I didn't get the books. I got more of like the the gadgets and gizmos of plenty.
I think everyone did.
What like the little tchotchkes.
Boys, yeah, like the invisible pen.
There was a toy that I remember I had in first grade. It was like a radio. It was like a portable radio that like I was like, dang, this is cool. Like a book fair sells radios, like I listen to music, and I don't know. Do you guys? I guess I'm too old school. I don't know. I'm pretty young, but I don't know. I like radio.
What? I would always go straight to the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, man. Those are my thing.
Those are days.
I need to look, dude.
I remember every diary book came out like this time. It was like the first Tuesday of November every year. The Diary of a Wimpy Kid book came
That's very convenient.
The issue with the series, and obviously we're not a Diary of a Wimpy Kid podcast here, but that was a lot of our childhood, and I feel like they just extended it way too much.
I don't know I'm trying to think what book I stopped at. I mean, remember Cabin Fever was a big one. Roderick Rules, the Dog Days is an elite book.
They were all very good.
The Long Haul is a good book. The OG one, the one of the red cover.
Yeah.
I can go on. Actually, I'm kidding. I'm gonna stop.
Okay. Because we have some we want to talk about baseball wise before you get into basketball.
No. We'll do baseball at the end.
Okay, we'll do baseball to the end. All right. So let's talk a bit about basketball then. Start off with the men's team. They not do great against the UCF Knights in their season opener yesterday, falling by a score of 85-62. But again, Power 5 school on the road. UCF, I know, has been a great program in basketball these last few years, and there were still some bright spots for this team. Of course, Brewer had himself a fantastic day, and Kevin, I wanted to ask you. Of course, you covered the game for the Paws Up podcast account, live tweeting. You even made some pretty snazzy graphics. I saw starting five and the whatnot. So just early on, it looked like the game was close, and then it started to slowly fall away from FIU. Just how did it happen, and what did the Knights capitalize on from FIU?
I think you said it at the start. You hit the nail on the head. This is a Power 5 team. This is a very good team. The only issue was that this is a very new team in both FIU and UCF. UCF,
yeah,
essentially going with a new starting five almost. They brought in a lot of guys, and this is their first year in the Big 12, and we'll see. But FIU kind of slipped away. One of the big issues for the Panthers last season was rebounding. They weren't able to rebound. That was a big issue for them. You can talk to Coach Ballard. He will tell you we felt like we lost games because of that, because we got out rebounded. Another issue for the Panthers was turnovers. They had 24 turnovers throughout the entirety of the game. That led to a 32-5 run by the Knights. And you look back, they also shut down Arturo Odin. Arturo Odin, the Conference USA 2022-2023 Freshman of the Year. He was in the Conference USA All Preseason team. He's arguably the Panthers' best player. They limited him only to 2 points. He fouled out of the game, and he just struggled. That's the best way to put it. He had, I believe, one turnover. Aside from that, just struggles overall. Really weren't able to get the 3-point game going. And obviously, this isn't a very 3-point heavy team, but You would expect it to happen. A lot of the size that they added, just Kiki was out. I'm not going to say his first name, but Abar was in the game. He struggled a little bit. Seth Pinkley, Seth Pink, I'll say. Pinkney.
Yes, I believe so.
Johnny.
Seth
Pinkney.
Seth Pinkney, yeah.
Pinkney, yeah. He struggled a little bit. He did get the free throws. Like for a guy who's 7'1", I am very impressed that and I think we're seeing that more in the NBA and college, that those type of guys will make those free throws. So it's cool to see that. But yeah, this is the Power 5 team. They face Tarleton State University on Thursday. Jake and I will be there. Johnny as well. Should be a fun game. Hopefully FIU does win and to put themselves on the winning side of things, and they need that one. This is a team that is going from D2 to D1, and they are actually pretty good. They had 18 wins in D2 last season, so should be interesting. I am taking over the coverage this week for basketball as Alex Krutchik is unavailable, but starting Monday, when the University of Miami, when FIU heads over to Coral Gables, Krutchik will be, our buddy Alex Krutchik will be taking over the coverage officially. So
we got to get Krutchik on an episode sooner.
We will. We'll get him on very
introduce him to the Paws Up podcast world, man. Krutchik's going to be putting in the work for us for basketball coverage. He's already dropped a couple of very high quality articles, sort of previewing what we should expect before this season.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna be great.
And as always, just make sure to follow the website. We put that stuff out there, and it's good. It's good content. Jake puts up previews, recaps for football. I'll do baseball and basketball whenever necessary. And Krutchik, our guy Alex Krutchik, is doing basketball. So. Yeah, and then here and there, obviously, that's where you can find these episodes. And
soccer coverage as well. Unfortunately, it's starting to come to a close. The soccer window, but
soccer is also there and helps us. The views help us a lot. It helps us.
I'm very happy you mentioned the archives for the podcast. By the way, I can't stress enough. It's just an easy way to take a look at some of your favorite episodes, some of the awesome guests we've had on the show. We put out that post not that long ago about all the guests we've had on the show. After episode 35 with Bernardo, and man, we've had some big names. We had the president of the college, for crying out loud, man. So the website's awesome. We put a lot of work into it, and we're going to continue to put a lot of work into it, along with Alex, who's going to be joining the Paws Up page crew, man. So yeah,
and it helps us out too. When you
guys that was a bravo, Kevin. That was a beautiful plug for the Paws Up page, man. That was some. It
helps us. I will say, you guys viewing it helps us get to where we need to for coverage. I mean, we're going to UM, we're going to Boca this year for basketball, and hopefully for baseball, we'll see where that takes us. Johnny and I are cooking some stuff, and we'll talk about that soon. But we want to.
Some of our earliest coverage was like late football last year, along with baseball speculation, right? And it's sort of. We've learned a lot since then, since our humble beginnings, and now I think we have a good thing going here. So, getting back into football, you had mentioned that we're heading to the Watsco Center on Monday, November 13th. Man, this is a matchup that I feel like I wish we saw more in basketball between FIU and Miami, and of course Miami coming off their Final Four appearance, losing to the inevitable champion UConn Huskies. Conveniently, FAU again also raising their banner for the Final Four. We don't have to play it this year, thank God. So,
wait, what?
Well, they moved. They're not in Conference USA anymore.
We're facing them this year.
Are we?
Yeah, that's like one of.
Oh, damn it! A non-conference matchup on December 13th. You're right.
Yeah, they're going to Boca.
Thanks for ruining my day, Kevin. I've had enough of that team from Boca this weekend, dog. I've had enough. No. I don't want to see that stupid owl anymore, man. Owsley is his name? Nah.
Apparently, it's not even an owl.
Owlsy?
Apparently, it's like some type of bird. I don't know.
Bird. It's like how Sebastian's an ibis, bro.
I don't care.
Johnny, we're taking on the 13th ranked team in the country on Monday. What do we do? What does this basketball team have to do based on what we saw against UCF to stay competitive in this game and again, to not let it get away from them, just like what we saw against UCF?
Yeah,
before you answer that, Johnny,
wishful thinking.
How much of the game did he watch?
I watched maybe 3%. I can't speak on it. I looked at the box score, but I I mean, I guess the box score says something, but I would defer to Mr. Burrell on the analysis, the deeper analysis.
You kind of need You need to win that Tarleton State game. You need that get right game, and
especially at home.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's a fun atmosphere. Highly suggest you all go. Another plug: go to Ocean Bank Convocation Center. Very cheap tickets, I think.
We may as well quickly plug the Panther Club, doing Scott Carr a favor while we're plugging all this stuff.
Panther Club, that helps.
Why the hell not?
That helps. That helps Jonny. That helps all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So but as Jonny said, not an easy matchup. is a very good team. Final Four. Should be a fun game. When was the last time these two teams played each other?
Let me check the history real quick, because it has been a long as hell time, Brody.
I do know they've had themselves some indoor scrimmages, and we won't talk about
the last official match we learned that from Raja Bell, by the way, which is really cool. Episode 20. 2008 was the last official match between FIU and Miami. There's only 5 in total. 2003, 04, 6, 7, and then the last one.
The last one.
2008. FIU has not won against Miami in those 5. They haven't beaten them yet in basketball. And again, this might be the toughest Canes team that FIU has ever had to face. I think there's not even any consideration in that, man. This
even
is
with the guys they lost, still a very good team. So you still have Nor Chidomir on that team. I don't know if I said the name right. He's a stud. He was going to go to the NBA draft. He removed his name. He dropped a double-double in the game against New Jersey. So
the New Jersey Institute of Technology.
I've never heard about that team. But anyways, I never heard of
They actually made the March Madness a few years ago, and they kind of gained a bit of notoriety. Kind of like, what was that team? FDU this last year. FDU, Farley Dickinson, the Knights. They had
their coach. Where did he went to another school?
He went to Iona. Right? He took over. He went to Iona.
He went to a bigger school. Yeah, that team that's wild. Maybe FIU gets there one day. We'll see.
Day. You had mentioned this, by the way, Kevin. Coach Ballard, right? Regardless of any of our previous because we had talked a bit about
I knew why he did that.
Look, listen.
Jonny, we're gonna be positive. You can come back.
Look, yeah, we are gonna be positive. We talked a lot about FIU basketball in the past, and through the thick and thin, Coach Ballard has been the coach of FIU for a while. Did you not? I believe you said he's 1 win away from becoming the all-time. Okay, he's 3 wins away from becoming the all-time winningest coach in FIU history, man.
Despite what we said before, this guy has been here, and this is a team that has been well recruited. This is one of the athletic programs that recruits very well.
Yeah.
In the transfer portal, I mean, obviously he knew it. He said we need height. He brought in a lot of height. They have a lot of guys over 6'9", and that starts with Seth Pinckney. You have Abar, you have Okiki out there, Mohamed Sonogo, another great find for Ballard. We hope to have him on the show soon. He's a great guy, and obviously have him on here. I believe he's the last coach we're missing. Honestly, besides
we're missing a few, man. I mean, Garbar.
Well, I'm talking about the main. We're still missing the women's basketball coach.
Yeah, Brooks Wiley as well.
We're missing a lot of them, but
we got to add Ballard like Thanos and Infinity Stones on the gauntlet. We got to get them all, man.
But he's been great, and he speaks very well. He's one of the nicest humans you'll ever meet. And these press conferences, super easy to get along with, and we're excited. He's going to be here for a while. He got that contract extension, and despite not having the success that FIU basketball has been wanting to have, this feels different. And he's mentioned it many times. He believes this is the best roster he's had since arriving at FIU, and he won 20 games in his first season with the team. So we hope that obviously he surpasses 20 wins, and this is a very good conference.
I'm very inclined to agree with that statement about this being the best roster he's had. Again, it's going to be tough.
And that's with losing Denver Jones.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's going to be tough not having Denver Jones. I believe he went to Auburn, if I'm not mistaken.
Auburn,
He's making
Auburn. They played tonight against Baylor.
Oh, they played tonight against Baylor.
Are they playing now?
Across the board, man, this team has, above all else, experience. There's not a single freshman on this squad, man. It is sophomores, juniors, seniors, and grads. And
There's not a freshman?
I checked. there is 1, 2, 3. There are 3 sophomores, a bunch of juniors, some seniors, and some grads. But again, the freshman was Arturo Dean, who of course is now a sophomore. He was the freshman of the conference last year, and now he's in his second year. Man, he
wow, there's not a single freshman.
Yeah, he put up some cracked stats last year for this FIU squad. He is he is the captain. He is the face of the team right now. Would you say, right, Arturo?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. And again, you have some playmakers that we've all grown to know. Of course, Javante, an absolute baller. Seth Pinckney, as you had mentioned.
Javante Hawkins, he's going to be in the watch. He had a very nice year for FIU last season, and against UCF, he was, I believe, 3 for 3 on 3-pointers or 2 for 3, something like that.
Yeah.
So very nice to see him having success. And this game against Auburn should start right now, actually. So
right now,
okay. That's on ESPN. So we'll see Denver Jones.
It'll be like watching Chambers in Maryland, man. It's just
he's not on the roster anymore. He left.
Right.
That's weird. Well, we don't know why, but we won't comment on that because obviously
we'll comment. But I was just thinking it'll feel like that. It'll be like, oh, I know this player.
We wish him the best.
In the blue and gold,
and that burns off his eligibility too. So he's done. Jonny, you were there. Women's basketball. What's up? Tell us all these nuggets because a 113-30 win against FNU is definitely something.
It's something indeed. I mean, it's like you watch the game and Florida National NAIA school. It's
D1 NAIA team name. What's their nickname?
The Conquistadors. I mean, it was a game where
it
could have been more. I mean, just 30 points. I think they shot like 13%. Florida National. It was just one of these games where like you kind of knew it was going to happen, but FIU.
I didn't think it'd be that bad, bro.
I mean, 80 point. I was doing some nuggets because I was helping out yesterday.
Who did they win by?
They won by 113-80. That's 83. The largest winning margin in FIU women's basketball history is 88 against Flagler College in 1982. They were 5 points away from that. However, they did make that record as a D1 school. That's one thing. Number two, they were a little bit. I think they're a little bit short of the record of most points scored. That's 128, but 113. I mean, it was one of these games where it was a W.
It was a W.
And I think they'll be very good this year too. And correct. Obviously, I watched very little of the game, and I won't say too much more because obviously I'm not one to speak. I'm no women's basketball expert. No offense. We got to make it out to more games of theirs.
We're gonna get there. We'll Kevin.
Get there, but I do think they'll improve. From what I've seen, they look like a better overall roster, and hopefully they'll have a nice year and find some success in a very good conference. USA for basketball is becoming a very good conference.
Facts.
It's no SEC, no Big 12, but it's very good.
Well, in basketball, you look at the conferences like the Big East and the Big 12 that have some absolute insane talent. But yeah, that Florida National game, that's like in football when Alabama schedules a week 1 matchup against who knows what university. And
Tennessee.
Yeah, like just they absolute torch them. It kind of felt like that. And again, they're going to get some competition down the line. Again, you have those consistently good basketball programs like Florida Gulf Coast, even Bryant in their Thanksgiving tournament. They're a really good school.
Yep.
It always is cool, by the way, those in-season tournaments for the women's team. Of course, they're going to host a bunch of matches in near Thanksgiving, and they're going to have another mini tournament down the road in December approaching Christmas.
FIU men's goes to the Caymans for their Cayman tournament.
Yeah, the Cayman Island Classic. Arturo expressed his excitement about that when he was on the podcast a while ago, and now
we had him on. I wasn't there. I forgot we had him on. We had him and Grayson.
You weren't there for that.
I wasn't there. I wasn't there for that one or Grayson. Yeah.
But
anyways,
good times. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, man. Gonna be a busy season for us covering men's and women's basketball. We hope you like the basketball coverage because we're not going to be stopping anytime soon, man. There are some fantastic matchups coming that.
We definitely think that our basketball coverage, obviously.
This is why we need to bring in Alex Krutchik to give the lowdown on the men's team. Of course, someone else we also want to get on the show soon, Heath Click. He again, a big friend of the show, fan of the show, and basketball aficionado, if you will.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. So we're excited to have him on. And I guess it's worth mentioning, we're probably going to, well, not effort, but we'll put in as much coverage as we did for football as we're going to do for basketball. We think this is a very good team. And, as we've provided coverage for soccer, we've done for every sport, I believe, this season. We're going to do it for basketball. And we're very excited to do it. This is a fun game to cover. We're big basketball fans here. And, yeah, it should be a fun season.
I will say, though, considering you and Johnny's love for the game of baseball, that baseball coverage next year, oof, it's going to be day one.
Johnny's the SID for baseball, so we're cooking. And
look at my chops there, man. That's going to be an exciting time. But
I guess
ahead of ourselves. Well, actually, speaking of baseball, Kevin, I believe there is an event coming up soon for FIU baseball, the World Series Blue and Gold Tournament Classic Smorgasbord Series going on. What can you tell us about it?
Well, it's open to the public, so whoever wants to go, you can go. It's a 3-day thing. Third day.
Best of three.
Best of 3 game. It'll be on Friday, beginning at 5:30 p.m. I will be there to cover the event, or the game, better said. It's Blue versus Navy. Rosters, we have them, but Johnny, we can't release them.
We'll get it tomorrow. You'll get the
Johnny, just slowpoke, man. We're not dropping the rosters.
I will say that.
I was just about to ask Kevin, can you put up the rosters on the screen? And damn it, we can't do that. Thanks, Johnny.
But anyways, I will say the gold roster looks fun. Our boy Ryan Guida is going to be there as always. Yeah, the goat, the Rhino, and we're excited. Baseball, Johnny and I have been there a lot for these past couple of weeks, and it's a fun group. And this is one thing that I think Coach Witten has definitely emphasized in the past, and that's really leadership and being together as a team and having that chemistry. And they've definitely been able to do that. Johnny would attest very well.
Yeah. So,
it's a fun squad, and hopefully they have.
If you want to get your first look at FIU baseball next season, it's the shot. It's the opportunity this week. This weekend.
Yeah, should be fun.
We'll get some content. I got some mic'd up ideas. I'm trying to find out who to mic up.
Appropriately.
We'll figure that out off the record.
Okay, it would be dangerous. But the baseball team needs to do what the football team is doing: just approach random students across campus and just like throw them a quick.
Johnny, hey, don't worry.
We have ideas for next semester. We got some ideas.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to spoil Jonathan's.
You didn't spoil anything. That's next semester. You may see some stuff next semester.
Those are awesome though. Those videos that the football team does, they did. I think the first one was like a.
I'll say this though. I'll tease something. There's something nice cooking up next. I think this week. By the way,
I don't suppose there's any news about new baseball unis, are there?
No. I'm just saying. You talk about football. I mean, the kickers. There's a cool video.
That kicker video was some top tier stuff, man. It was. All right. I didn't mean to spoil your plans, Johnny, but now you got us interested. Now you got us needing to. When is this real baseball coverage you talk about? When is it going to really kick off?
I mean, right now this is the final weekend, so we're kind of we're amping up for this one. But
I know you've been hard on
next semester rolls around, we're going to be amping up baseball content. But we got so much. I know you guys saw the football video. That was the best QB1 of FIU baseball. Did you see that one? Do you see that one?
Yes,
of course.
Yeah.
Jake, did you see it?
Oh yeah, totally.
Who was your favorite? That's what I want to know. Who was the best? Who was the best signal caller?
Jake didn't watch it, bro. He's obviously lying to you. He doesn't know. Say Austin Deering, bro.
Austin, yeah.
The one guy that fumbled the snap.
I will say though, I will be honest and say I know, Johnny, you've been busy with those AMA questions, like asking all the players some different stuff, like who they picked in the actual MLB World Series. First off, yeah, man, that was some good coverage. So
I got another idea.
What is it?
Maybe like their best like reggaeton dance or something.
What?
Never mind. I'm just.
You know what? Listen.
It's been a long day.
You're taking the food out of the oven a little too quickly.
I'm
you have to let it bake a little more, right? You have to
Luffy.
Is this a record? We talked about almost every single major sport in FIU.
No guest on it. No guest.
Basketball.
But again, Johnny, we're relaxing here. We're just talking it. We're chopping it up, and we've had a good time. So,
well, prior to this episode, we were on a tear with guests on the show, man. I want to check back real quick, but the last time we didn't have a guest was episode 28, right? After that, it was Biamonte, then Scott Carr, Jackson McDonald, Kenneth Jessel, Corey Brooks, Anna Rocket, and then Bernardo. So we've been on a tear with guests. It's always nice every now and then to come back and just have an episode like this, man. And these episodes not disappoint in length, by the way. We're an hour and 10 minutes in. So let's start to wrap up here, gentlemen. Again, we're all gonna meet up on Thursday for that home opener against Tarleton State. And again, we're gonna be doing our preview show day of on Saturday as FIU football takes on Middle Tennessee. And then as far as next week goes for the podcast, we have some stuff in the works. We do want it to be another basketball oriented episode because again, we're just diving face first into this basketball season. So Kevin, Johnny, any final thoughts before we close off?
We'll see what we cook up for basketball during the game itself. Obviously, Jake, you're live tweeting, and we're excited. Should be a fun game at the Watsco Center. I was reading the media stuff, and that looks pretty fun. So
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. Obviously, new SID for basketball. Our boy Darren, he watches the pod. He's a big fan. So
shout out Darren.
Shout out Darren. Yeah. So maybe we'll have him.
Do you think he's really watching right now? Do you think he's really watching?
No, because we have 0 viewers. But
okay.
Hey, the 0 viewer count is only for.
Oh, you're right. We may
I
actually
don't know what it's for, but it's not the total view count. Again, maybe now's a good time to shout out the hey, Johnny, come on, you've had your spotlight. Now again, shout out to everyone who's watching on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. All those 3 outlets, they all do really great numbers, man. And man, the 3-week break, again, it's hitting me, that 3-week hiatus we had on the podcast. We came back with some absolute smoke, man. But again, guys, again, see y'all on Thursday. And again, to the fans watching, thank you. This was episode 36. And until next time,
Paws!